Hey, scholars, welcome back from your break. I hope it was restful. I'm looking forward to the couple of weeks that we have before we head onto special programs. We'll be reading Beloved, this novel that I think I've conveyed my enthusiasm about. I must apologize in advance. Tomorrow there's a big ski race, and Haley and I will be gone, and therefore we will not have class. I do have an assignment for you, but for tonight, consider your assignment finding your way through this brief introduction to the novel. Um, so, beloved, it's a novel written by Toni Morrison. It's probably 20 years old. Since writing it, Morrison did win the Nobel Prize. Beloved, the character Beloved is depicted here in an older version of the cover, and is somewhat of a ghostly figure. And there's a lot that is absent and confusing in this novel, and it's my hope that in the next 5 minutes I can alleviate some of the confusion that you will find on confronting the first chapter of Beloved. One way to think about the novel is to think about the generations of characters that you will find therein. One who is closest to you in age is Denver. She's about 18 years old and will seem much younger to you as she's been raised in what is a really weird and dark household there on Bluestone Road. So she's your age, and you'll see her page 1 of the novel, and you'll see her page 300 of the novel. She's throughout, as is Setha. Setha, debatably, is the main character, the mother of Denver, and is in her middle age. Baby Suggs is the grandmother of Denver, so she's the first generation. She was born a slave, as was Setha. Um, and Baby Suggs lives in on Bluestone Road with Setha and Denver. Baby Suggs isn't Setha's mom. She's Setha's husband's mom. So Baby Suggs is mother-in-law to Setha in this novel. Let me mention a couple of other characters and just point out the vitality, the power of naming, which I think is true all the time. I mean, you know your own name, and I'm sure it has connotations and importance to you. Uh, and some would even contend that you kind of live out whatever your name is. Let me just remind us all that for African Americans, naming is even more fraught. So for the generations of the children of Setha, her two sons Howard and Bugler, disappear on page 1. These these characters are named by their slave owners, and the reason that many of these characters change their names is because the names really aren't their own. They're searching for their own identity in the same way that, for example, Cassius Clay, born Cassius Clay in Louisville in the early 20th century, changes his name to Muhammad Ali as he becomes an American Muslim, right? And that's a rebellion against the slave naming past that he has suffered, and so many have suffered. So that's, you'll appreciate that, right? The power of naming in this. And it amuses and horrifies me that arguably the most horrific character in this entire book goes only by his job name, school teacher. So geography, Bluestone Road is where this thing takes place, and the place of it, the house of it, is important, and you'll find this in the first couple of sentences, which refer to the house itself on Bluestone Road. It's number 124. That's the address. 124. And the first sentence of the book is 124 was spiteful, full of a baby's venom. And that 124 referenced in the first two sentences of the book is the house where these characters all live. Uh, Okay, what the timeline of this book? Let's make 1850 right in the middle, and our Huck references. Huck was published by Mark Twain in '84, but it actually is supposed to have taken place in an unclear time, but around 1840, right when slavery was still in full swing. Setha, our main character, her life sort of goes from a little bit before the time of Huck Finn to a little bit before the time when Huck Finn was published. And she lives through major dates like the official freeing of slaves in the Emancipation Proclamation of '63, Also, you get the Fugitive Slave Law of 1850. So all this Civil War time. That's when this all takes place, and you won't be surprised to hear this. Anyway, those are significant events, and that's when this takes place. Where it takes place, let me, before we get to Setha and her family in the novel Beloved, this is a really good map of Huck Finn. And so here's the Mississippi, right? And the action of the novel starts up here up north. There's Pap's cabin. It's going to end up down here at the Phelps farm. And they en route they go by St. Louis and the Missouri River. And they also, you remember in that kind of watershed moment where Huck says it was all up with the Ohio. So this was the route to freedom, and they just go racing past it, right? Huck and Jim just go right past it. But our next novel, Beloved, is going to take place actually up this river, and this river becomes the border between slavery and freedom. So you'll gather the Ohio River. It's not just remotely referred to. We're going to see people, right on the waters of the Ohio through Beloved. So here's another map just to show you where things are. Cincinnati is where 124 Bluestone Road is right there. And so this right here, this is the Ohio River going up. I believe Lewis and Clark, or one of them, got on in Pittsburgh. I will be grading AP exams down there in Louisville. But so this slave state, this is a free state, and the Ohio lies between them. So quite significant. One point I want to make as we read Beloved, there are really good notes about this book. It's considered a classic of American literature. And so you can go to Spark Notes or whatever those online notes are. And I kind of hope you will. I have myself, and I found them useful. What I ask is this: don't go to these notes until after you read. So embrace the confusion that is deliberate in this novel. Be confused first. And then, if you need to, go ahead and look at the notes and see if you can clarify them. Also, you won't help but go online, and you'll see that there's much commentary on this novel. Also, there's a movie made from it. Please just stay away from that movie because it'll poison your imagination. Oprah did a noble attempt at bringing this novel to life, but it's crappy, so don't even look at it. So what I'd ask you to do tomorrow is to read chapter 1. I'm suggesting that you do this during class time, but I'll just say that by midnight Wednesday, I want you to have logged onto the Moodle and written 2 or 3 sentences asking some question about the first chapter. Don't slow down. There's some supernatural stuff that goes on in the first chapter, and you just have to roll with it. If you get confused, go ahead and embrace your confusion, put a question mark in the margin, and allow yourself to wonder. And Thursday at 4, we'll have a chance to go over these questions and make some sense of them. Now, so Thursday, we have class 4:30 to 5:30, that X block in the afternoon. We will hold that class. Later at 7:30 that evening, we're going to go down to PSU. And we're going to hear Simon Armitage, the translator of Gawain, who's a poet who's going to be reading his poetry at PSU. And I hope it'll be good. And we definitely just need to go. So we'll do that. I think that's all I have to say. Drop me an email if you have any confusion. And before you call it a day, why don't you listen to one of these poems by Armitage? Okay, let me see here. I'm not sure this is going to work. Do me a favor, just listen to the first 45 seconds, and I'll send you the link, and you can listen to the whole thing. Here's Armitage.
This is a poem called The Shout. In the village in Yorkshire where I grew up, we had a really crazy science teacher and no equipment, which was a very bewildering combination. And one day he said to me and another boy, "I want you to go outside and don't come back into the school until you've measured the size of the human voice without equipment." So we went out there and we devised this little experiment. I stayed in the yard, in the schoolyard, while he started moving further and further and further away, shouting all the time. And we thought there would come a point where I could no longer hear him, and that would be the size of the human voice. Unfortunately, the village wasn't that big. and he just sort of fell off the edge into Lancashire.
So there you have it. I'll send you the link. You can get a little more Simon Armitage, and I will see you all Thursday at 4:30. Books in hand, Moodle completed. Cheers.